Hey, thanks for calling the Beards and Sundries Market. You've reached Jay. Leave a message after the tone.
Hey guys, long-time listener, first-time caller. This is Silly Bear online or Jacob in person from Central Illinois. I've listened for at least a year now, and I've messaged with Jay a little bit on Instagram. I don't always get to listen to each episode when they drop, but I do try to keep up. Thank you for the entertainment. Okay, so the real reason I'm calling is because I can't seem to get behind villains in TV shows or movies when they're supposed to be the main character. Like, there's something about a show trying to make the bad people endearing that just curdles my blood. Is it just me? I'm specifically thinking about shows like Shameless, which is hilarious, don't get me wrong, and Yellowstone, which is compelling and beautifully made, but still. They're well written and well made, but I just can't bring myself to be invested in their stories. But if I'm being honest, I'd rather watch The Traitors on Peacock or a documentary any day. So maybe I'm just picky. I am eager to hear your take. Thanks again for all the effort that goes into making this a free thing for all of us to enjoy.
You'll be sorry, you fools! You idiots!
Ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
I don't know about you, Miss Kitty, but I feel so much yummier.
Oh, you think darkness is your ally? You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it.
And welcome back.
Hello, Anthony. Are you sick, you gross bitch?
I am always sick. Inning.
I'm
death
sick.
drop.
Sick and tired of your shit.
That's right, listeners. Pretend I death dropped because I'm halfway to death dropping in the real way.
And I'm here too.
Oh,
Hi,
right,
Joe.
Joe's also here.
That's right, guys. It's time for another lunch break here at Beards and Sundries, the shop where three gay men with beards do inventory on a new sundry in each episode.
My name is Jay, and I'm in love with a villain. She chaos, she ruling, she fighting. I'm climbing that pole, and I'm in love with a villain. That goes along with my story later.
Climbing a pole. This really is fiction.
He can climb it, he just can't sit on it.
I'm going to climb it like a tree, but then climb right back down.
Right, and then I'm going to climb back down, then I'm going to get in that tree trunk hole. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that. Anyways, I'm Anthony, and if Frank Castle can be an anti-hero, by God, so can Luigi Mangione.
And I'm Joe, and to me, the real villain in Batman and Robin was Chris O'Donnell's nipples in his Robin costume.
I thought
But-
that was a real hero.
Well, that's true. But that means that today's sundry item is fictional villains. Beardos, as you've gathered by now, the theme for Season 6 of Beards and Sundries is villains, and we decided to dive into some of the naughty, devilish, and sometimes misunderstood villains of folklore, pop culture, and the like. After today's break, we're going to play a classic game from our youths, before those damn phones you guys can't look away from. And then later on, for the first time in many moons, Jay has something for us to check out this week. And to wrap things up today, a game where points don't matter and we all work together. Hooray! But before we hear yet another tragic backstory, how about this week's voicemail?
Yay!
Holy shit, not only was it a voicemail, it was a voicemail from someone we've never heard from before.
I know, it was
oh
like
my God.
a golden ticket and asked a question.
And it was meaningful, and it was congruent with the episode topic.
It was so cute. We love you already.
And there were several talking points. Let's get right into it. He said Central Illinois, correct?
Yes.
So, when you mean Central Illinois, Jacob, do you mean like Peoria, Springfield, Bloomington, Champaign, Urbana? I ask mainly because Sunset Inn and Suites is in central Illinois, and if you haven't heard of it before, it's in Clinton, Illinois. You should look it up. Sunset Inn and Suites. There's some really cool rooms there.
I also have some friends in Champaign, so
Champagne's
I
lovely.
have a friend in Champaign. And that Champagne is my friend.
I was just about to say, I also enjoy my other friend, Champagne.
Right.
The stripper?
Although we are on day 22 of dry January, so Champagne is
Ironically,
not my friend.
The Champagne discussion also goes with my story.
Oh, I can't imagine how these stories panned out for you two. Well, we'll get more into that later. But back to the voicemail. Thank you for calling. Thank you for leaving a voicemail. And thank you for leaving such a treasure trove of information in that voicemail.
So I gotta say, as villains being endearing are concerned, like, I used to have a hard time getting behind it. I will say, for the two that you named, Shameless and, what was it, Yellowstone? I haven't watched Yellowstone. And I haven't watched Shameless, but I fucking hate William H. Macy.
I agree with him so much on Yellowstone.
I've never seen it. We've talked about watching it, but I can't do Shameless because it's William H. Macy, and every time I see his stupid fucking face, I'm just like, you're not a good actor. You play the same character in every goddamn thing. Everyone's like, no, he's really good at this. And I'm like, no. Every time I see him, I just see the same fucking guy from Jurassic Park 3, and he's married to what's-her-face. Not Anne Heche, but Anne Heche's, like, I don't know, knockoff clone.
Anne Heche's knockoff clone?
Yeah, what the fuck was her name in Jurassic Park 3? Anyways, the point is I don't like him, so I've never watched that show. But I don't know. I guess you're kind of right, because I don't like shows like Breaking Bad, where it's the villain and you're just like, man, I don't really want to cheer for this guy, because...
Yeah.
Well, and Yellowstone is basically taking rich ranchers they're very Trump-like in their mentality, where they're like, I don't follow the rules because I do what I need to take care of things. And
this is a wild land. Is that kind of feel?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, I don't know. It's exhausting. Now, there are a lot of villains I can get behind being endearing about to try and give them a little bit more of a story. But then there's just some shitty people out there that I don't care about. I don't want to see the endearing side.
Yeah, I feel like Yellowstone,
I get
that premise, what you just described, is just, it's pandering to people who think that they want to live like that, who think that life on the ranch is like that, and have never actually lived on a ranch or a farm.
So it panders to my family that are ranchers, and that they live that life, and they're like, this is exactly how we think. And I'm like, yeah, but sometimes it's really stupid. Have you ever stopped and looked at it from the outside? No.
Is it somewhat like they do illegal things and bad things to get by on the farm or whatever it is?
Not to the rate of Yellowstone, but it's just like, you can get by with things a little bit easier because you're not in the city, shit like that.
Okay.
And you shouldn't, I don't know. Laws don't go against farmers and ranchers all the time, so sometimes you just have to ignore them. And I'm like, no, there's EPA laws for a reason, like not getting chemicals in water that disturb everyone. But what the fuck ever? What do I know?
I've seen Cabin Fever, so you basically saying I've seen Yellowstone?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Cabin Fever is pretty good. Also,
pretty good one.
I feel like if we're talking about villains having good story arcs, granted it's a redemption arc, but Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender, Jacob, like, A+ storyline. I loved Zuko by the end of it, but I think you're supposed to in some ways. But you see his story and he grows really well. Like, even whenever he's a bad guy, you're sort of rooting for him to do better because he shows the signs of being able to do better. So I guess he's not really a villain in that aspect. He's more of an anti-hero. And, so I'm kind of defeating the purpose of what we started talking about. So let me just shut the fuck up.
Well, I also wanted to hop in and say that I've heard many things about that show, The Traitors, and I've heard that it's good, it's fun, it's addictive, so I guess we need to check it out. So I guess that's our something to check out.
Is that the one with that drag queen? What is her name that I hate so much?
Bob the drag queen?
No.
Bob's in it, right?
No, Traitors is the one with Alan Cumming, right?
Yes.
as the host. Okay.
Yeah,
yes,
where
never
they're all
mind.
in a
I'm
circle.
thinking of something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually watched The Traitors. My recent ex got me on that, and I kind of enjoy it. So I'm up to date on it. I really appreciate it. You should probably watch it.
I've heard it's interesting, so we might just have to try it out.
Go for it. They're on season 3 right now.
Oh, lordy, I thought it just started. Okay.
Nope.
Well, all right. Well, thanks,
Jacob.
Thanks, Jacob.
Oh, and side note, I got asked this today. You don't have to call the phone number to leave a voicemail. You can send a voice memo as a text, and Jacob actually sent the voice memo in an email. So you can do that however you want. I understand if you're international, like that's going to be expensive if you want to call international, possibly.
Yeah.
So send voice memos. That also works. That'll give you time to redo it over and over if you don't want to call the voicemail box. So,
Which makes sense because we redo parts of this over and over because we sound stupid.
we edit this quite a bit.
Right.
Quite.
Well, thank you again, Jacob. But, Joe, do you think I could find some good henchmen over in aisle 4?
I do. There's one fat short one and one tall skinny one, just like in every piece of media. But if you guys are new to the show and you're wondering just what the hell a sundry is, the term comes from an old English word meaning odds and ends. Now today it's used mainly in retail as a way to group together items that don't typically have a group of their own. So as 3 villainous gay men with beards, we are using the term to group together the wide range of topics that we cover.
Wow. Impressive.
Yippee!
That makes me feel so evil. Mwahahaha. Mwahahaha. You're welcome.
Okay, so what were our favorite villains growing up?
I thought I would start off with a little discussion, and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about a Pixar movie, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
So I think that one of the best ways a villain story is explored in a Pixar film is The Incredibles, and I'm talking about Syndrome. So Syndrome was a little boy who is a huge mega fan of Mr. Incredible, who was a busy superhero back in his heyday, and there was an incident where he was trying to solve a crime, and Syndrome, or he was known back then, I think his name was Buddy. He was trying to help Mr. Incredible, and he ended up getting in the way, and he thwarted the whole thing, and Mr. Incredible had to save him instead, and it turned into a big thing. And then at the end, Mr. Incredible simply looked at him and said, "You need to go home, Buddy. I work alone," which later on, when you see Syndrome retelling the event, it goes differently in his mind, because of course it does. And that's something that I don't think they explore a lot with villains, is how they saw the interaction. Because when Syndrome retells it, Mr. Incredible was way more rude, it was all darker, everyone was scowling at him, and then he just decided that that was the end of the world for him, and that's when he decided to become a villain and come in and save the day, supposedly, with this robot thing, and then he ended up not being able to defeat Mr. Incredible once again, so it came full circle. But I thought that was an incredible way incredible fun,
Incredible
interesting way to show the villain's backstory, get more of like an explanation on why they are the way they are, and kind of see it from a different side.
I feel like, as much as I love that movie, or actually those movies, I wish I would have saw them as kids, because I think I would have loved it even more. They came out when I was decently old.
2004, I
one.
think.
I mean, I was 14.
Oh, so this was like
1400?
1932.
Right when the talking box came out.
Yeah.
He said, "Wow, what a handsome woman on the screen there.
They put
She
that woman in
stretches.
spandex.
She's so stretchy."
That's not
And you-
appropriate.
And that was a modern film because it was based in the 50s or 60s. Or a futuristic film, sorry.
I saw this stupid post online that was like, do you think Miss Incredible had to like fake it at a regular hospital when she was giving birth, or do you think they just like did it at the house and she just popped it out real quick?
I'm going for the latter. It's got to be.
Yeah, probably, with like that government agent there, and he's just watching like, meh. Okay.
If anything,
good
she
job,
probably just
Bob.
went, all right, there we go.
I was gonna say she probably just went to the bathroom and was like, nobody else is gonna be here for this. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'm gonna get this thing out of here real quick.
This
She's
is
like, all right, it's been
incredible.
9 months. Time to pull it out like a fucking turnip.
Yeah,
Mrs.
She
Incredible
prob-
on an episode of Maury.
She probably just kept it in there on purpose. Like I imagine Dash probably tried to like have an early birth, and she was like, no, and she trapped him in there, and was like, you're gonna gestate as long as you need to, and then you're gonna come out right on time.
Oh my god, imagine they had to like close her. How would they do that if she's
They
so
wouldn't know.
elastic?
She probably like did it herself.
Closed
She has
herself.
full control of that.
Bitch, why don't you close yourself? I'm start using that.
This is starting to. I am starting to question a lot of the science behind this because did her water break or is she just like taffy that's sealed together, split it for a minute, take the baby out and put it back
Like
what's
ribbon
going
candy.
on?
Or she gave birth to Violet and then she looked down and it's just like an invisible like roll of bread in her hand because just an invisible
No.
baby.
That's the episode of Maury. She's like, I thought I was pregnant for 9 months and I needed.
And we didn't even know we had a kid for like another year until she turned visible again. Turned out she
Jake-
was eating scraps off the floor.
I kept losing the baby.
Jay, how much more are you watching?
Okay, to be fair, that joke came up because I just recently saw a clip from Maury, and it was like on TikTok, I think, before he shut it down on me. But and she was sitting there and she was trying to find out who the dad was because she's like, I had stomach cramps, so I went to the bathroom and I had a baby. A hand came out when I was trying to poop and stuff. I was just like, Jesus Christ.
What the fuck?
She sounds great.
Oh, she was like yelling at the camera like she was angry.
Well, yeah, obviously she got duped. She went to take a poop and she ended up with a kid.
She got duped during her deuce.
She got duped when she pooped.
Right? Yeah. Jesus.
Man, imagine going to take a shit and you give birth to a baby. Birth to a baby.
Giving birth
You
to a
wouldn't
baby.
give birth to a baby, would you?
And you're like looking down, you're like, wait a minute, that's coming out from a different spot.
Like, did
it's
she
a
give it a
hand.
high five or what? Like, what's the protocol here?
This is like the substance moment, just a little bit.
Just in a different place.
So
Right.
was the baby the villain in this scenario? Because she was like, ah!
Jay, let it be known here and now that the baby is always the villain.
Every time.
Except me, because I was adorable and
Oh, shut the fuck up.
This was back before photography, though, so like there's just like cave paintings and stuff.
My garbage brain. I'm going to say this because I can't not say it, but Jay, if you were so cute, your parents would love you more.
as my parents always said, looks are only skin deep.
I can
So
see
they
that.
But being gay goes all the way down.
Okay, so you guys are the villain in this episode.
Yes.
Correct.
What's new?
I'm just not fictitious. Just fake.
Just bitch-titious.
Good lord.
Right.
Yeah, one of the-
Yeah, that one. Made up word.
You're the villain for that fucking word.
One of the earliest villains that I sort of didn't really latch on to, but I just always remember will be Rita Repulsa from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Just all the time.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God. Yes. It was so wild because it was like her, and then she had Goldar, the big, like, beast guy with the wings who, you know, you were like, he was the more competent henchman. And then she had, like, the two really incompetent ones whose names I can't remember. But, like, it was just every week, just her throwing another fucking monster at those Power Rangers. And then at the end, she was like, every time, like, oh, right, I can make it big. And then throwing her staff all the way from the moon down to Earth and making it grow. Which, one, deadly good accuracy. She should be planning, like lunar landings and Mars landings. Two, really good arm on that one. I mean, I know the moon is 1/3 gravity, but if you can throw it through gravity all the way to Earth and still hit it, A fucking plus. So yeah, like real villain there, but except for the fact that she constantly forgot that one of her only main powers was that she could make a monster be big. And then she would just forget it the whole time. But it was also the same thing for the Power Rangers, because it was like the whole time they're fighting this one monster who's like regular size, and the entire time they could have been like, you know what, let's get the fucking Zords out and step on it before she makes it big.
So, did you idolize her?
Not really. I just always think of her when I think of villains. But I idolize her her sense of style. That's kind of how I wish I was dressed every day. Was like a bog witch who found all of her outfit at Party City.
Well, you won't be surprised because there's multiple reasons that this was my favorite villain, but I idolized the hell out of Cruella DeVille.
Oh, I'm not surprised by this at all.
I loved her car, even though it was like an old 1930s Cadillac. And I loved her fur that she wore all the time, and she was just this luxurious, crazy lady. I didn't like her smoking, but I could change her.
I didn't really idolize Rita Repulsa. I just thought, like, I don't know, she always stands out to me. When I think villain, she's one of the first people that pops to mind.
And opposites attract, because I love dogs so much, and she wanted to kill them for their fur.
You could change her. Get her
I
to
could
stop
change her.
smoking and killing dogs, which is like the only two things she does. And drives bad, but I don't think you're fixing that.
No, I'm actually going to join her.
With that brand new
I was gonna
transmission that
say.
you'll get eventually.
One day. I
You're the
got a
only
new loaner right now, so.
You're the only person who drives worse than her.
Yes.
God.
Well, one other facet of villainry I would like to talk about is that show on Amazon called The Boys. And that is all the
yes.
supers who have their powers, and Vought International is the company. And if you think about it, that show doesn't really have quintessential villains until they turn a super, or they find out, like, stuff behind the scenes or someone's ill intentions. So I would almost say that there aren't really like set villains in the Boys universe until they find one who has, like, I guess turned or been corrupted. Like who was that racist one in season, I want to say 3?
Oh, which one?
The woman. She
The
was
girl?
Stormfront, but she ended up being a
Yeah.
Nazi
Oh,
and a racist.
Stormfront?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was
But-
Stormfront, and then there was the one who, like, I don't know, she was basically like Jubilee. She could shoot some fireworks or some bullshit, but she was super racist.
So Stormfront is the prime example of that. So she's a villain essentially, but the whole time up until everyone finds out, she was painted as a hero. So it's like this weird thing where there aren't really villains in that universe. It's just the supers fighting like actual regular crime. So
I feel like The Boys, there are no heroes in it. There's just like no good people. It's sort of like watching shows like like Jacob said, like Shameless, where there are not good people in these shows. It's like watching Friends, except
like watching
with
politics.
the veneer pulled away. Yeah, that's fucking true. But you know, without having to watch politics, even though it's super political.
I think that's actually why the show, it just, I can't get into it. It's that. And also the very graphic deaths started to just wear down on me. I was like, I'm out. I'm tired. I'm tired of watching these heads get crushed right, like, very detailed in front of me. I'm like, I'm out.
The penis one was the one that got me, where the guy was like, in the guy's urethra.
God.
I just knew it was going to happen the whole time, and I was like,
I knew exactly
my
what was
God.
going to happen.
yeah.
Because somebody spoiled it for me forever ago, and so I knew exactly what was happening, but just the way those things happen, I'm like, I'm out. I can't do it.
So then another way that kind of wraps back over to Pixar a little bit would be another example I can think of is Toy Story 3, where the villain turns out to be Lotso Huggin' Bear, because like he wants to stay. What is it? He wants to stay in like the gentle room, and he wants the toys to like obey him and obey the hierarchy that he set up, and then he turns into the villain.
Well, I mean, it's Wicked's actually kind of like a good one. Yeah, I don't think you guys have seen it, right?
Not
No,
yet.
not yet.
Yeah, well, I won't really spoil it for you, but for the people that have watched the Wicked movie, or the musical at all, you definitely get swung around on who the villains are in the show. And
I
one
bet.
person, well, I just don't want to go into too much detail if you haven't seen it, so go watch it so I can talk more about it.
Okay. So right now,
I mean, I
Jay
would
is the
assume-
villain.
I would assume that they try to paint Elphaba as the villain most of the time because, she's green and it's a metaphor for racism.
Well, of course, it's yes. That's a great assumption and an accurate one, but I won't get into too much detail of it.
You don't have to. I could probably predict the movie from beginning to end if I wanted to, but I won't do that here.
He's grumpy because he's sick.
I'm not
I can
grumpy.
tell that
I'm just
little
sick.
bitch.
He's so grumpy.
Wow, okay. My head does kind of hurt, though.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hope your
No, you're
story's good,
not.
or else
Shut
that'll
the
really make
fuck
me
up.
mad. No,
The story's pretty good.
Girls.
Notice the 3 freckles on her upper left breast.
Liver
On
spots.
liver spots, sorry.
If you're
On
gonna
the
quote
left can.
it, then get it
On the
right,
left
bitch.
can,
I will
you
never
stupid
get a quote
idiot.
right on these TV shows that you guys have memorized to the T.
You've memorized it too.
No,
that is also
I've-
a you show.
You
I've
know it in
seen
passing.
scenes in it, but I don't have it memorized to the T.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That would be a great game at some point to like do a Family Guy or American Dad or Bob's Burgers quote and leave a blank and have Jay fill in the blank.
I'm
Didn't
actually,
we
if I get to write
do-
things down and I get time to think about it, I maybe do better.
We did a adult animation quote game at one point. I remember because
Did
I
we?
made it. Yeah.
We should do another
But
one
you guys
just
had
for
to
Jay.
guess like what show it was from, and then
Yeah.
bonus points if you could name who it was that said it.
That's the best part. I'll say the show and I'll say the quote, and then Jay has to fill in the blank.
Yeah.
It's a game for Jay. I'm the villain now.
I finished the lyric.
And something all day. That would have been a great one. Finish the quote.
Now, as somebody who watches a lot of horror movies, I can tell you most of the time in horror movies, the bad guy is very well defined as the bad guy. Like, the villain is very much the villain of the story in most cases. Not every case, but, there's a lot of times where, the Substance would be an exception to that, where the villain of that show is sort of how women are treated in Hollywood. It's an ideology and it's not a person. So, really, she's her own biggest villain.
Yeah, a lot of people could argue that the villain is like, I don't know, the guy who works the studio or like the guy who lives in the apartment across the way. But really, when you peel back the layers, no pun intended, she's kind of the villain, but she's been shaped by the industry. So
She's
you see her a couple
the
times
villain
like
to her own self. That's
Exactly.
really kind of what it is. She's both the protagonist and antagonist at the same time.
And spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but they say in the movie that you are one. There is no she and you. You are one.
It's not really a spoiler. I feel like that was in the trailer.
Oh, well, good.
We pull up the trailer and it starts with, "You are no, not he or she," whatever the quote was you just said that I could
Couldn't
not
even get
memorize.
that quote right, and he just said it.
Oh man, it's gonna be a great game. I can't wait to make that game. If I did
But some of my-
infomercial quotes, he'd be fine.
Some of my favorite villains are from horror movies, though, like Michael Myers, Nancy from The Craft, obviously. Jason
Oh, yeah.
Voorhees, Freddy Krueger,
Skeet Ulrich.
Skeet Ulrich. I enjoyed shooting Skeet.
Exactly.
Mrs. Frizzle.
Yeah.
She was kidnapping those kids and taking them to the weirdest places.
Actually, those children were going to school on their own merit.
I like to think of it as sort of a Sucker Punch type situation. Did you guys ever watch the movie Sucker Punch?
No.
Oh, well. Anyways, I just imagine that, it's the main character. What's his name?
Have you seen the movie? No. Oh, who's the main character?
No, the main character from The Magic School Bus. What's his
Oh,
name?
Lily
Arnold?
Tomlin? Oh.
No, the kid.
Phoebe?
Arnold? or something?
Arnold. Yeah,
Is
the
that who it
redhead.
is? Yeah.
The
I imagine-
red-haired guy with glasses.
Sure. Oh, that was pointed at me. Now I understand.
This is such a healthy episode. We're so mean.
We're doing so good. Anyways,
We're villains.
the point is that I just imagine that kid is in a psych ward somewhere and he's living out his entire life in a different place. Like, he's just using this whole thing as a mental escape to get away from the fact that, like, I don't know, maybe his parents were murdered in front of him and he lost his mind. Like, he had a whole psychological rift for him. And so now he's living in there and imagining Lily Tomlin is like the
going
voice
up his
of
butt.
his teacher. Yeah, exactly.
This is his ass.
And there's the end
that
of show
show.
clip. Thank you, Jay.
Jesus.
I love that though, that like he's in like a coma or he's making it all up, because like later on in the series Arnold's cousin shows up and she's like annoying or whatever. She looks exactly like Arnold except with like a bow in her hair, and that's the only difference of how they look. And maybe that's just like because he's lazy in the coma, he doesn't really care, he's just like and then here's cousin.
Well, the mind can only be so inventive.
He's making up a cousin, and he's like, it's just me in a skirt.
Exactly. And that's how he got on RuPaul's Drag Race.
I'm just imagining him in like the mirror at like, it's not even a real mirror, it's one of those like stainless steel bolted onto the wall mirrors because he can't shatter it so that he can't kill himself inside of the like psych ward. And he's like up there with like a napkin that he's tied from his lunch in his hair, and that's where he's getting the idea for his cousin from.
So he's having a grippy-sock vacation and creating this whole world of the Magic School Bus while in the ward.
Yep,
okay,
absolutely.
I like it. That's very
meta. I would
meta.
like to postulate this as an alternative to whatever the standard story is for this show.
Well, postulate away, George.
I bet Lily Tomlin would go along with it. She's like, oh yeah, he's fucking crazy.
Someone call Lily Tomlin.
She would do anything. She'd do anything at this point.
I love her.
Todd, you might be the most famous person who knows about this podcast. Call Lily Tomlin if you know her.
Get Lily. Well, do you guys think it's time to go ahead and go to a quick break?
Sure.
I think it is. We could talk about villains for a long time. I feel like I want this to be a two-part episode because there's so many villains we didn't even get to.
We probably could, but if you want to join the conversation, we want to hear what you think about villains. Send us an email at beardsandsundries@gmail.com. Send us a voice memo. Hit us up on socials. Join the conversation.
Now it's break time. Break.
If you want some fun new clothing and want to support a small business, check out hunkytops.com, the queer, Latino-owned clothing site. Beards and Sundries will get you 10% off your first order with the code SUNDRIES at checkout. You can order above 3XL, you just need to hit the contact button and they'll work with you. Again, check out hunkytops.com. Explore their styles and wear your pride. Use Sundries at checkout for 10% off your first order.
You're listening to the Beards and Sundries podcast. The podcast rated 5 out of 6 balls.
So, did you guys play MASH as a kid?
That show from like the 70s or the 80s or whatever? No, I didn't do that. Alan Alda?
Did you play in Vietnam War?
No. I didn't glorify that. Seems like something that's really wrong to do.
I can still remember writing those stupid little things on papers and playing that on the back of the school bus. So yes, this was a nice trip down memory lane for me.
I forgot that that's how you played that too. I forgot that's what it was called until you sent us.
I forgot all about it. Yeah.
My sister and I, we used to play it in church all the time, and I just remember like her doing the circle, and I would just get so excited and be like, "Stop!"
No wonder you turned out
in
gay.
church. Stop!
You weren't paying attention in church. You were playing MASH instead.
We never paid attention in church.
Your sister's just like, the Holy Ghost got him, woo! And you're just over there like, read my fortune.
Obviously, I was shunned from church because last week's commercial was very much mocking church.
Jay, the way it mocked church was it was the length of an entire sermon. It just kept happening.
Long.
I'm sorry.
I was like,
I'm sorry.
No.
We opened it up and I was like 3 fucking minutes.
Like, the worst part about it was I was like, I'm gonna make this short, and then like I finished my speaking and I was just like humming along to it, and I was like, well, this is starting to feel a little long. And then I like look at it, I'm like, it's a fucking 3.5 minute song.
I'm like imagining you getting up for the day and like getting your coffee and stuff, and you're going throughout your day, and then you're like, time to make this song, and then a montage happens, and suddenly it's 12 p.m.
No, 45 minutes for that whole thing.
Really? That's
Yep.
impressive.
I know.
I listen to other podcasts, and they have actual like commercial breaks where they'll go away for like 5 or 6 minutes, and it's full of sponsors. And like this week, I hovered over that button. I was like, but no, I thought it was my favorite part of it though. Over the entire thing was just the background vocals where you'd be like,
That was exactly. And there's one spot where I'm like, I'm having a poopy moment in my bloomers.
Yes.
poopy moment.
And I got my jingle in. I got it in twice, so it was perfect for me. And I don't know what inspired it, but it worked. So, anyways, back to what we were talking about.
Yes.
Did you guys enjoy the idea I had today of us all three playing MASH and then writing a quick story about our lives based off that?
Let me tell you.
Story.
Let me tell you, I might
Mine's
play
a
this
fun
more
part.
often because it was pretty fun.
I know, wasn't it? So
I'm
basically
a little
what we did...
curious to find out what you guys picked for your 3.
Should we go through and say what they all were?
Like, I know what you're going to end up with, like, based off what you ended up with, but I'm curious what you put as your first 3, like, options.
So what I
I
thought
think
about
we
doing
should do
was...
we should do our options.
I thought about what we should do is read our story and then finish it off with, like, what we wrote as our options.
Okay.
That's
I like
good.
that.
Because
Yeah.
then we can be like,
think
oh,
that's-
you didn't get this.
I think it's a good idea because then you could be like, oh my god, this is such a mess, and then say what the other options were.
Well, I can tell you both that mine is definitely the shortest, so why don't we go ahead and go in intro order?
Sure, works for me.
Love to. I'm ready. Are you ready?
I hope so.
All right, here we go.
Oh, Lord.
Hi, I'm Jay, and my life, thanks to MASH, has been something. My degree from the School of Erotic Dancing was supposed to be my ticket to greatness. I graduated mega cum laude, majoring... I gotta get through this. Majoring in, this worked out well, history of pole dancing,
Oh, my God.
with a minor in advanced glitter dynamics.
I don't know why. That sounds like something that could be real.
For a brief moment, I thought I would change the world. Who else could discuss the socio-political implications of the pole spin double invert while also flawlessly executing it in sequined booty shorts? But alas, real life had other plans. I thought my unique expertise would make me a household name, a sought-after academic, or at least a quirky TED Talk star. Instead, it became the punchline to every argument Cruella and I had for the past 10 years. That's right. I married Cruella DeVille. Known for her puppy-stealing antics and fashionista personality, I was stunned by her beauty when I first dashed by her while swirling on a pole. Her cigarette extender neatly tucked in her fingers, ash trail a mile long, just seeking its destination on the dingy carpet of the club I worked at. We were smitten. Moving in together was less a romantic decision and more a tactical one. She had a mansion in Beverly Hills. Part Art Deco, part villain lair. With a marble staircase so dramatic it felt like you needed an orchestra entrance just to walk down it. I was renting a studio apartment above a record store. The choice was obvious. The champagne fountain was literally my only source of liquid for the first year at that house.
Damn.
Our life together was still... Sorry, let me do that again. Our life together was, and still is, a study in contradictions. Cruella's days were filled with plotting haute couture schemes and micromanaging her personal army of assistants. Meanwhile, I started building a career as a professional asshole. A self-styled consultant for celebrities who needed someone to tell them the hard truths with just the right mix of disdain. Think Simon Cowell meets Oscar Wilde. When I met Cruella, I thought I hit the jackpot. She was glamorous, eccentric, and impossibly confident. A swirling hurricane of fur, cigarette smoke, and dramatic hand gestures. I was just a kid with a freshly laminated diploma from the School of Erotic Dancing, class of 1920. Majoring in history. Yes. Majoring in
how
history.
to show off your ankle, girls.
At the time, I thought our union was proof that opposites attract, and for a while, it was. But life has a way of settling into a rhythm. Unfortunately, ours wasn't a waltz. It was more of a slow shuffle towards dysfunction. Cruella kept up her extravagant ways. She was a whirlwind of energy, hosting galas where people wore outfits more expensive than my annual income, berating waitstaff for bringing her the wrong shade of caviar. "How dare you serve me salmon pink in a chartreuse season," she once screamed. And occasionally disappearing for days on business trips that may or may not have involved attempts to steal exotic animals. Meanwhile, I settled into being, well, me. My consulting career as a professional asshole fizzled out when people stopped paying for harsh truths and started paying for life coaches who would tell them they were special. I half-heartedly dabbled in writing a memoir about the cultural significance of pole dancing, but it mostly involved me spinning on a pole in my office, really a converted laundry room, watching cat videos on YouTube for research. Cruella noticed. Of course she noticed. "You've lost your spark, darling," she said one evening, several years ago over dinner, dramatically flicking a shrimp tail at me for emphasis. "When I married you, you were a glittering mystery in tight panties, a sexual jewel. Now you're just there."
Damn.
But today, it's just her saying, "Darling," she'll say mid-eye roll, "you're not useless, but let's not pretend a dissertation on the cultural ramifications of the upside-down splits is paying the mortgage." She's not wrong.
Obviously.
And our decision to have kids was less about wanting a family and more about Cruella's desire to, quote, leave a legacy that couldn't easily be euthanized by PETA or have red paint splattered on them and be unwashable.
What?
So we ended up with 7 children.
Ew.
PETA, how could you?
There's Bentley, our eldest, spent his toddler years refusing to wear anything that wasn't sequined. Cruella encouraged this naturally. By 5, he was designing costumes for local theater productions, and by 10, he was arrested and tried as an adult for excessive glitter abuse, resulting in the death of 15 costume dressers and 3 stage actors. He now runs a prison jumpsuit fashion line, sequined, of course, since he's banned from glitter. Rolls-Royce and Porsche, the twins, have a knack for mischief. At 8, they tried to monetize lemonade stands by turning them into full-blown beverage conglomerates. The IRS got involved. Mercedes, our only girl, emerged as a family's financial genius. She started charging her brothers interest on borrowed allowance money before she turned 6. Last week, she successfully argued for control of the trust fund. And the rest? Jaguar, Aston, and Tesla, who we named before we knew Elon was a member of the Nazi Party, largely exist in the background, plotting whatever it is younger siblings plot when they feel overshadowed by older siblings. I haven't even seen them in 3 weeks, so I don't know what they're doing now. I have noticed many neighborhood pets disappearing. It's nice to think they may be going into their mother's family business. Now, as I sit in the backyard sipping champagne endlessly from our fountain, I can't help but wonder how we got here, somewhere between the glittering chaos of our early years and the comfortable monotony of now. I became forgettable. Cruella still loves me, I think, but it's a distant kind of love. The way you may love an old armchair that no longer matches your aesthetic, but it's too familiar to throw out. Sometimes I miss the old days, when life felt like an all-night strip club, and Cruella looked at me like I was the most interesting piece of meat in the room. But mostly I just sit in the champagne fountain, soaking up my alcohol, and think, this isn't so bad. After all, every villain needs a sidekick. And if that's my role in Cruella's story, then I'll rock the part in sequin panties. The end. That's our life now.
So what kind of
little
champagne's
depressing.
in the fountain? What kind of champagne's in the fountain?
Oh,
His first question.
Well, since I'm unemployed right now, I think we're keeping it with just sparkling wine.
It's just what is that? Barefoot.
No, not even that nice.
Arbor Mist.
Ooh, yeah.
So one time when the 80s happened, you know, Reagan, and the economy
time
sank,
when the
and
80s
we had to
happened
use
for 10
Boone's
years.
Farm.
Oh, God. So, Jay, how much of that did you write, and how much did ChatGPT write?
I actually, so ChatGPT wrote out this organization for me, and then I redid almost every sentence, really, because I was like, all right, this is close, but I wanted this. And
This, but no.
yeah, but I didn't like the layout of each story, so I had it write it like 3 different times, and then I just mixed and matched in the order I wanted it.
ChatGPT said, here's a story that you requested about this thing. And Jay said, yucky.
He said, okay, but make
100%.
it stripper glitter.
Yeah. Oh,
Also-
speaking of the glitter, you could... I mean, Party City is shutting down. I'm going to start claiming on my resume that I was the senior VP of Advanced Glitter Dynamics for Party City.
The fact that my MASH gave me the School of Erotic Dancing with a major of History of Pole Dancing, how did that work out so well?
Just
Because
wait.
you put it in yourself and didn't click from the drop-down menu.
I know,
So
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you what your choices were.
Okay, so my choices were Cruella
Yeah.
DeVille as the person I married. I also did T-1000.
Okay. Yep, Robert Patrick, I get it.
And then, oh, fuck, who was the third person? It was so stupid. I don't remember anymore. Oh, Miss Trunchbull.
Oh. Isn't her
Weird
first
that you
name
picked
Agatha?
two women.
Yeah, I just put Miss Trunchbull.
Oh, Miss
The
Trunchbull.
Trunchbull.
The
The
Trunchbull.
Trunchbull. Should put you in the chokey.
Oklahoma State was where I graduated from, or School of Erotic Dancing, or some terrible college out of Mississippi, I think I called it.
Biloxi.
Literally, it was some terrible college out of Mississippi.
Tupelo.
Pole dancing was one of my degrees. Actually, I don't remember what I wrote
Was
for the other
one
degrees.
of my degrees. I majored in hooey.
Assholery was another one.
Oh.
And something else. I don't remember that one. I wish I would have saved these. I meant to, but I got distracted at, my job. And then I think I did like 4 kids, 7 kids, and 142 kids. I remember spitting
Oh.
out 142. So I got lucky with 7.
What a
And-
sentence.
I know.
It sped out 142, but I got lucky with 7.
And, oh, God, my career, it was professional asshole, gravedigger. Don't remember the third one. I think it was one of those that I just threw something in.
Okay.
But the fact that I got Cruella and a mansion, I was pretty pleased with.
Well, that really is everything, huh?
Yeah.
It's just everything, yeah.
Okay. Well, good job, Jay. Do you want to go next, Anthony, since we're going in
Yeah.
intro order?
Yeah, sounds good. Hang on. Okay. Oh, wait. I can't read it from here. My camera's right in my way. Boop. So you have to take me looking away from it. It all began in a little town called Haddonfield, Illinois, on October 31st, 2002. An unnatural chill clung to the air as I walked home from school with my 2 best unnamed friends. God, who could forget those 2? Both of them without names. Anyway, this is a love story, and they both died that night, so clearly it isn't about them. I was walking home from school, barely listening to jibber and jabber, having a conversation about garbage or something, when I saw him for the first time. Or half of him, at least. He was standing on the sidewalk, partially obscured by our neighbor's hedges. all 6'4" of him. His hair was slicked back in a mat that reminded me of a stray dog's fur, and his skin was the color of cream. I mean, just bone white, you know. He was wearing blue coveralls and just staring down the sidewalk at me. I froze, my world screeching to a halt right then and there. I'm pretty sure Savage Garden was playing somewhere. I was about to say something to Dingle and Dangle, but a moment later my dream hunk had disappeared. That was a night I would never forget. My parents were making me skip the Halloween dance to stay home and watch my twat of a 10-year-old brother while they went out to the local bar and grill for trivia night and dollar domestics. They wouldn't come home that night, which wasn't unusual. I think they were swingers and probably alcoholics. But this time, it was because they would be dead. Fast forward to later that evening, my brother is locked in his room with a 2x4 wedged under his door handle. Total Request Live is paused on the DVR in the living room, and I'm heating up 2 Totino's party pizzas for myself to get the night started right. I was halfway through my 3-meat while Christina was on the TV singing Dirty with like 27 R's or something, when I heard a crash from upstairs. I threw my plate down on the coffee table, paused the video, and ran upstairs as fast as I could. I had to be sure that little shit didn't get out of his room somehow. I hated him so much, you guys. I was almost to the top of the stairs when I heard my little brother screaming. God, he was such a baby. Honestly, you guys, just the fucking worst. When I finally rounded the corner at the top of the stairs, I could see the board was... When I finally rounded the corner at the top of the stairs, I could see the board and his door were firmly in place. Thank God. He kept up the screaming, but at least that meant he was in his damn room. I went back downstairs, cranked up the volume on our stereo system, watched Christina box her way through the video, and dreamed of my jumper-wearing Adonis. Eventually, I noticed that the screaming had stopped. Thank God. But after an hour or two, I decided to check on that asshole again. His windows were nailed shut thanks to a court order, but I didn't want to risk him peeing in his room again. I had bruises for a week from my dad hitting me with a sock full of oranges from that last time, and that whole not leaving a mark thing is a myth. I pulled the plank from under the door after a bit of an effort. The bastard must have been pushing the door again, I thought. When I opened the door and saw all the blood drained from me. The window was shattered and my little brother wasn't anywhere to be seen. I ran into the room looking for what I didn't know, until I let out a breath that I didn't know I was holding. My brother was just on the other side of his bed. He hadn't run away after all. He had only been stabbed to death. My parents would even have to explain this to CPS because they weren't even there. I considered waiting until I finished watching Scream 2 before I called the cops, but I was already at the part where they revealed that the killer was Mrs. Loomis, who, contrary to the first film, did actually care about Billy. Or at least cared enough that she killed all those people and Timothy Oliphant. So I dialed 911 on my clear landline phone from my bedroom and waited for the police. That night, I would learn about the bar and grill massacre, and the massacre at the Halloween dance, and the massacre at Steamworks, the local bathhouse. Did you know you could have more than one massacre in one day? I didn't. Well, not at the time. It turned out that my tall drink of water mystery stalker was named Michael Myers, and he killed my little brother, my parents, and my 2 best friends. All just to be with me.
Aww.
I was smitten. I couldn't believe someone would go through all that effort to prove their love for me. Oh, you want to know who he killed at Steamworks? No one. That was actually Anne Heche who killed those men. She apparently thought they were all Portia Del Rossi. Anyways, Michael went back to the Haddonfield psychiatric prison the next day, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do the rest of my life. So I set off to that college from Scary Movie 2 to begin working on my doctorate in psychiatry. I studied hard, cheated on a lot of tests, and pulled the whole My whole family was murdered by a psychopath, so you should bring my grade up routine. And years later, I found myself back at the Haddonfield Psychiatric Center courting the escape of the only man who ever loved me.
Works every time.
I still can't. Yeah, I still can't believe they let me be the psych doc at that prison. That seems like a glaring oversight on their part. But apparently everyone else who tried to treat Anne Heche had either gone mad themselves or threw themselves off the Haddonfield cliffs. Man, Haddonfield really does have everything. Now I spend my days in our mansion we got from all the Anne Heche treatment money, telling the police and FBI that I don't know where Michael could be, even though he's definitely out there killing people every night and coming home during the day to listen to the Joe Rogan podcast for 4 to 8 hours straight, and generally enjoying our life together. People have asked if we ever want to have kids, but I tell them that too many teens get stabbed to death in Haddonfield, and I don't want to take that risk. The truth is that Michael and I, we don't want kids. We both hate those crotch goblins. So, we're living out our days as happy as can be. Michael killing all those people, me unlocking the Rubik's Cube that is the madness of Anne Heche, and our dogs, Jamie, Lee, and Curtis, running the property to their heart's content. And we lived happily ever after. The end.
Well, I'm glad you said Michael Myers instead of Mike Myers, because I was about to be like, yeah, baby.
Also, I love how you and I both were smitten. Sorry, smitten. We both said that in our stories.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be smitten. You know, if
everyone's
you're in love,
smitten.
You have to be smitten
in a love story.
Yeah, exactly. You're smitten.
Except for when I'm not 5-fingered and I'm mittens.
Shut up.
Also,
and if I'm a vampire, I'm bitten, or they're bitten.
Here's a question for Anthony and Beardo Jacob. So, do you think Haddonfield is in central Illinois, or do you think it's like a suburb of Chicago?
I think it's a suburb of Chicago, but I mean, you know, that's speculation because it's a fictional town.
Right. I like to think it's close to Chicago as well, because that opens up more opportunities for sequels, for story writing.
That's true. But we all saw, like, Jason Takes New York or whatever, and that wasn't good, so I'm glad they never went that direction.
Yeah, it's Jason, not Michael Myers. Well, yeah, it's Jason and not Michael Myers.
Yeah, but Haddonfield's half the thing, which also super fortunate that I got Haddonfield and Michael Myers.
Isn't it wild how some of our stories just, like, work together really well?
Yeah, I honestly, it was crazy because I put Haddonfield, I put Westboro from Scream, and then I put I can't remember, there was some other third fictional place that I put, but I got Haddonfield and I got Michael Myers, and my options for my love interest were Michael Myers, Ghostface, and the Babadook.
The Babadook.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I remember. Oh, my places. I forgot my places. Beverly Hills was one, and Pitcher, Oklahoma was another.
Pitcher, Oklahoma. Now we live out. There's only shacks in Pitcher, Oklahoma. I've been there.
And I don't remember what the third one was. I really wish I would have wrote all those down. Anyways.
My college options were, hang on. Yeah, my college options were something like, I picked movie colleges. Oh, I picked Pendleton University from Urban Legend, and I picked Windsor College from Scream 2, and then I put that college from Scary Movie 2 because it's unnamed in the film.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah,
it is, isn't it?
Now that I think California, like community college or something.
California.
Yeah, and then I had my job options as tarot reader, Anne Heche's psychiatrist, and ominous gas station attendant.
That'd work for you.
Yeah, I know. It would be a really good job fit.
7-Eleven cashier was my other one.
I'm glad you're remembering this as we go.
I know. I was like, it's starting to sink in again.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and do mine. It is not quite as long as either of yours because I am not a very good writer, so this will be pretty quick and painless.
I bet the Beardos are happy about that, though, after listening to ours.
I was going to say, after ours, I'm sure they need a little break.
They're like, fuck, thank fuck.
Okay, I'll just start right at the beginning. I didn't change a single word of this. I just let ChatGPT take the entire helm on this one.
Nice.
All right. From the moment I graduated from West Virginia University with a degree in fire protection and security, the world seemed to open up in ways I had never imagined. I was driven, ambitious, with a thirst for something greater. My mind was set on finding a way to make a mark, blending my expertise with my creativity. And then the unexpected happened. It wasn't just the degree or the job offers that awaited you. It was the moment of fate, something destined to change the entire trajectory of your life. I met RuPaul Charles.
What?
It seemed like a surreal twist of destiny, but when it happened, it felt effortless, like everything was in perfect alignment. RuPaul, with his signature confidence, grace, and unspoken understanding, quickly became someone who I not only captivated my attention, but also showed me a life beyond my wildest dreams. A life where my passions could intertwine with my future. A life of creativity, excitement, and bold ambitions. From that moment forward, things moved fast. RuPaul brought with him a world of glamour, fame, and the realization that I, too, had the power to shine in the spotlight. The two of us became inseparable. I navigated life together with a shared vision of stability, success, and a home full of love, and RuPaul agreed. Eventually, we settled down in Toronto, in a mansion that felt like the perfect canvas for the life we were building. In this mansion, our life unfolded like a beautiful story. Our days were filled with laughter, challenges, and joy. I stepped into my new role as a game show host, bringing my creativity and charisma to the stage, captivating audiences, and creating a legacy in the entertainment world. My fame grew, but more importantly, so did our family. 7 children, 2 girls and 5 boys, came into our lives.
Wow.
They were energetic, playful, and full of promise, each one bringing their own unique sparkle to the world around them. The mansion that once felt like a distant dream now became the backdrop for the most wonderful chapter of my life, filled with moments of simple joy and chaotic love. And so, with every passing year, me and RuPaul continued to thrive. Our work, our family, and our love for one another became the foundation of a life far more extraordinary than I could ever have imagined when I first walked out of graduation. The journey from West Virginia to Toronto, from being a graduate to becoming a game show host, from meeting RuPaul to building a family, was a testament to the serendipitous beauty of life and the power of dreams that are shared. Finn.
Finn.
So
7 kids.
One,
A few?
RuPaul Charles is a villain in your...
Yeah. So I picked villains in a sense that, like, only I would know why they were villain, really.
Well, it's
So-
just one of those things where I'm like, oh, this is funny. It tracks because I feel like RuPaul is like a secret villain.
So I just put this, I did one round of MASH after not having played it in decades. And so the 3 colleges I picked were University of Minnesota, Oklahoma State University, and West Virginia University. So not very exciting, sorry. And then for the 3 villains that I might marry, they're villains in a different way. I picked Hugh Jackman, RuPaul Charles, and Jason Kelsey.
Oh my
Villainous
God, you
on
pick
my
hot
ass.
people. They weren't even villains. You're just like picking hot people.
You
in
just
one
don't
refund.
know. You don't know how they're villains.
Yeah,
they're
Hugh
misunderstood.
Jackman, so evil.
Yeah. Okay, so then I chose 3 cities, and I went with San Francisco, Toronto, and Honolulu. And then for the numbers, which I didn't know was number of kids, thank God, I picked 69 because nice. I picked 13 because it was unlucky, and then 7 because it was lucky.
I think I picked 420. Blaze it.
Oh my
We
God.
both got 7 kids, so
I cheated on the kids and I put 0, 0, and 0.
I knew it. I knew that's
I
what
fucking
you did.
didn't want kids. I was like, no, I don't want them.
I wanted Jay to put 101 kids because of Cruella.
Oh, why didn't I think of that? That would
You
have been
idiot.
brilliant.
You fucking moron. I can't believe you are even on this podcast. You goddamn idiot.
And then when you went to go pick out a Dalmatian, she was like, "Why are they all white?" And Jay was like, "Wow, a racist."
Oh my God.
Okay, so then for college majors, I picked fire protection and security, parks administration, and urban studies. I just picked from the drop-down menu.
Nice.
And then for the last one, the occupations I chose: falconer, dog whisperer, and game show host.
I'm a falconer now.
And
I think you know what I want.
I just remembered one of my other degree. Instead of liberal arts, I said liberal conservatism. That was what I could possibly major in.
Libertarianism? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
I love writing stupid stuff in these things. It's so fun.
I was trying to think of like the generic jobs you would have in horror movies, which is what led me to like tarot reader and ominous gas station attendant. I just want to be like, oh, you're going up to the old Rowdy Bush farm? We don't go up there no more.
Not since 18 kids died there last week.
You don't want to go there. Why? Why don't we want to go there? You don't want to know. No, I actually kind of want to know. If it's dangerous, we might change our mind. No, you don't want to know. It's a evil place. What makes it evil? Is it like evil in the sense that people from church don't want to go there? Or is it evil in the sense that people have actually died there?
Is this evil as in, like, the devil has actually showed up there? Or is this evil as in, like, Christians viewing SpongeBob as evil?
Right.
Because
yeah, like which version of this is what are we
there's
talking about here?
definitely different layers of evil, and I'm not concerned about the SpongeBob level.
Excuse me.
Is it commercial time?
I think it is commercial time.
I think we set a new record on time before the commercial, but let's see.
Yeah, we really. Whew.
I'm curious what our sponsor's gonna be this week.
I honestly have not thought about it up until
Hopefully I can make it a
now.
gospel again. Maybe I'll make it 4 minutes.
And now, for a word from our sponsor, the Church of MASH. The only answers you'll ever need.
Oh, come on in, ladies and gentlemen, those coming from the bend-over church next door. We've got something better for you. It's the Church of MASH. Church of MASH. Church of MASH. Church of MASH. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we're not the church that praises a god. We're the church that praises whatever we decide to that week. That's right. Whenever we draw a spiral circle and somebody says stop, we count the lines in that circle and we decide what god will serve, where we'll serve that god, how many kids we'll have with that god, and many more. So sit down, raise your hands, because we could praise Batman, Grimace, and Shirley Temple too. A short guy, tall girl, and just a man's caboose. 1 week penis, next week Cheez-Its, followed by Mrs. Frizzle too. All because of MASH. You'll worship this podcast too. Worship this podcast too. The Church of MASH. The Church of MASH. The Church of MASH. All right, congregation, let's shout out who we want to praise this year. Jay's beautiful face. Book song.
Don't forget to subscribe to the show so you get a notification every time we drop a new episode.
Well, that certainly was something.
Yes, that commercial that just happened was definitely a commercial. And we have recorded it and listened to it before we ever recorded this.
And I feel way more enlightened than I did last week after my poopy moments.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. The Church of MASH is definitely everything that commercial advertised.
And you will always love the Church of MASH.
So definitely go attend the Church of MASH, because all of those things that the advertisement told you about are absolutely true. Unless they do by some chance defame me as a person, in which case they are absolute lies.
And don't forget, if you ever want to start over Enlightenment, there's always the route MASH or pass, where if you decide to pass, you can start over.
That just sounds like you have a soft penis.
A little bit, yeah.
I'm gonna mash you real good.
A mash or pass.
Are you getting there? No, I'm just gonna rub it around the outside.
You're just like down there bopping it. Boppity, 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 boppity.
Pull it. Twist it.
Anyways.
Yes, very good. Thank you very much, both of you.
You're welcome. Do we have any Beardos submitted sundries this week, Jay?
Guys, we do, and I'm going to start with the first one, where I actually posted something on BLUESKY and said, if being petty was a superpower, what would your villain name be? We're workshopping ours over here at Beards and Sundries. So far, we've got Petty White and Pennywise the Clown. Your turn. Just making shit up as I go. And
are you using like Target Mom Chat GPT to write these things for you?
I love the juxtaposition of your social media personality next to your real personality, and how like I know at the like you'll make this post and you'll hit send or you'll post it or whatever, and you're just like, this fucking guy.
Are you using like a Ray Dunn Tumblr that says "but first coffee" on it?
Do you ever...
It's exactly what it sounds like. Our socials are so white people. I love it.
Our socials, running our socials reminds me of those videos where you watch of like husbands with their girlfriends where they're like selfie and they're like big smile, and then the moment she moves the camera down, their face goes That is exactly how I feel with these socials. I'm like, hey boys, this is so much fun, and then I like hit send and I'm like, I hate social media.
Are run like corporate socials. Like we're more a business than we are a podcast.
Oh my god!
Game, yes.
Yeah.
Before you do that, I know we're running long, but real quick about that corporate socials thing, I saw this exchange, and Anthony will know what I'm talking about. But I saw this exchange, and it was like someone chatting with some Amazon account representative, and they were like, how's your day going? And the representative replied, I think I'm depressed, LOL. And then like 3 seconds later, there was an auto reply from Amazon that was like, whoa, sorry about that. We're not quite sure what happened. It won't happen again, and we'll make sure it doesn't. And someone on the comments was like, wow, they just shot him right at his damn desk, huh?
Oh my god, I think I've seen that meme before. I love
Anyways, let's get on to the submitted sundry so I can get on to dinner.
So my my white girl post, Andrew responded and said, peppermint petty when the pettiness is fresh.
That's a good one.
And
that's
petty,
a really good one.
And petty long stockings when I'm hate following someone on social media.
Hell yeah. Okay. Andrew is very right for that.
I know. I was like, at least I got one comment that I loved about this, because I don't think I heard from anyone else. It's BLUESKY, and it's a very new place for me.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. You're not posting penis. You're not getting a lot.
I see a lot of penis on that account, and I don't think I'm following them.
It's
but
pretty
it's
cool.
pretty great.
Every one of them is being followed by Beards and Sundries podcast.
I would listen. I know our brand, and that's on brand.
So I've actually started kind of doing that, where on my account that I follow all these, lovely penises, I share our posts on there because a lot of them follow me back, and so I start sharing our posts to see if we pick up any of these people.
Bitch, you're gonna get blocked.
It's a crowd.
If the OnlyFans accounts can follow me in an effort to try to get me to follow them and subscribe to their OnlyFans, we can do the same thing.
Exactly.
Podcast.
It's going to be really funny, Jay, when the BLUESKY gets kind of bigger, but the bots start to slip through because we get more followers, and you're like, what would your name be? And then someone says petty mayonnaise or something, and then there's a next post from some foreign.
Go look at my 722 pictures and my 500 videos on xporn.com/only just for fans.
You bet your ass I'm going to read that comment out too. Guys, a porn bot messaged us.
Yay.
Exactly.
All right. So we also heard from... It's Alex.
Oh my
god.
I know.
Have we done that sound before?
Yes, we have. It's just been a long while.
I was going to say, I feel like we had an Alex one. That shouldn't just be in there, right?
No, yeah.
Wow.
We had one. I made it. I remember this. Alex said, my favorite Beardos, watching a banner year so far after the season 2 finale. Rip TikTok. Anthony, I do listen to this podcast, and you calling me out for not listening prompted this email, sir.
Ooh. Good.
Actually, I went back and listened to about 5 hours worth of y'all on a recent road trip, mainly season 2, because it was a much more cheerful time on planet Earth.
That's about 4 more hours than I can stand.
One day, I'll leave a voicemail, but also watching y'all complain is kind of funny. I don't know. Regardless, much love. Joe, you actually produced a book sock. I'm impressed. Thanks, Mom. And Jay, you have grown to be my favorite.
What?
Your special blend
Boo,
of
Alex, boo.
Your special blend of chaos and charm should be trademarked. Lol. P.S. It's been a minute since we chatted, but I've never stopped watching y'all on YouTube. This is still my favorite podcast. Jay, I still rate y'all 6 out of 6 balls, even though, well, anywho. Election was rough. Thanks for providing laughs through the holidays and such. Looking forward to 69 more seasons of Anthony claiming, "This is too much," while I'm cackling. Alex.
Okay. It threw me off when he said you're his favorite. So, did you just take like an old thing and type it into Chat GPT and have it send you a submitted sundry so you could feel better?
Alex isn't even real. It's just Jay.
This is bullshit. I love that we found out this way.
You know what? You'll never know because you don't run these things, so I'll always
John.
be the favorite. Where's John? No.
Great.
Thanks,
so
Alex,
now I'm questioning everything that's ever
Also,
come from
is he
Jay's
still-
phone.
Is he still your favorite after that personification of your email? Like the way he read that and all the little like mannerisms he added, like, lol. Like, are you sure that you want to pick him as your? Are you certain that's
You know
your
what?
favorite?
Next week,
That-
whenever I
that-
type into
that's what you wanna go-
ChatGPT,
You
it's
don't
going to
have to
be
go
his
with me.
absolute fucking favorite.
You don't have to pick me, but I mean, I would pick Joe. Probably would be like the one to pick if you're picking a favorite around here. I just, Jay
I would
seems like
too.
a choice.
That's fine. I'll cry after this. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you seem like a person, who carries granola around with you. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the choice there. Like I like carrying granola in a Ziploc bag. I also keep a Cliff Bar in my backpack, and also Jay is my favorite host.
Wow. Are you ragging on people that I made up in ChatGPT?
No, I'm just
Every day.
Alex, you're fine. You're allowed to make decisions for yourself, even if they're the wrong ones.
You know what? Next, you little rude bitch.
I don't know. It sounds like Alex is about as real as Nona Stella.
Nona Stella was real. She was a saint.
We get a video call from Nona Stella, and it's like Jay in a wig, but somehow he's also Nona Stella, so it's like his long lost relative Nona Stella, and it's just they look exactly the same, but they're both here at the same time, so you're trying to figure out how the fuck that's happening.
Oh my god, I'm gonna order a wig and I'm gonna be Nona Stella as a replacement for Jay one week.
Episode of Family Guy where Peter is getting in line for that sample at Costco or whatever, and it's the different people who look like Peter who keep going through the lines. So it looks like he's wearing like disguises, but it's all different people.
Yeah. We also have one more from Derek with the good beard. Derek said, "Hey Beardos, I'm catching up on the first 2 episodes for this season. First of all, I love the villain theme. I will be looking forward to the villain of the week. For the record, my alter ego is Girth Invader."
Damn. Okay.
That's funny. Mine's Girth Brooks. As I was listening to the bitch
That's
session
funny.
in
Mine's Girth Invaded.
No. Yes. No, I'm kidding. As I was listening to the bitch session and episode 2, I thought I would share that 4 hours of conference calls is nothing in my world. There are times when I'm double and triple booked. I basically get paid to go to meetings all day. I'm sure it does not help that I work for a company that is considered villainous of itself. Hey, I relate.
Same.
As far as bingo squares are concerned, I still think that you need to add a bingo square for a live show. I also believe you should add another bingo square that at least one of you gets a stalker this year. Oh, God. I don't want
Too
that one to
late.
win. Thanks as always, Derek with the good beard.
Thanks, Derek.
Thanks, Derek.
Thanks,
Derek, who's your favorite? And why is it me?
Yeah, Derek. Are you sure it's not me because of my cute, charming chaos?
Oh my god, shut the fuck up. What's next? What do we do next? What the devil is next?
Well, I'm out of user content, so...
Well, then, is it time for something to check out?
I believe so.
I think it is. Jay, I've heard that you have something for us this week.
I do.
Wouldst thou like to live deliciously?
Yes.
Okay, so one of our listeners, Danny, messaged me and told me that in his podcast, he gave us a shout out. And we have not shouted out his podcast yet, which he's actually like a co-host, so he doesn't appear on all the episodes, but he appears on the ones where they talk about Interview with the Vampire, because this podcast is called Adrenaline Cinema Podcast. And so basically what they do is they pick any movie that brings out adrenaline in you and they discuss it. And so I thought it would be fun to share his podcast since he did ours, and it looks like a fun little show.
I'll have to check it out because I like that kind of stuff.
I know. I was like, that's why I want to mention it, because I know you are definitely an adrenaline junkie for like horror films.
Yeah, I definitely am. That's like I'm target audience for that.
Well,
So-
have they ever done an episode on Crank?
Shut up.
Christmas
Nope,
with
that doesn't,
Cranks.
That doesn't get my adrenaline going at all.
The
Now, if
movie
I'm
Crank
cranking my
from
crank-
2006?
Yeah. What do you like?
The
get
one where
pumped up?
Jason Statham has to keep his
Just
adrenaline
because
up.
His adrenaline has to be up doesn't mean mine is.
But
Oh,
the
so-
podcast reviewers probably should when
It's
they're
just like
reviewing the movie.
It's just a remake of Speed.
No,
Which is better and
Shut
does
the
keep
fuck
my
up.
adrenaline up.
Exactly.
exactly.
Any moment I'm like, they're going to explode for sure. I know there's
Ooh.
like 45 minutes left in this film, but maybe they die, and the 45 minutes after is them dealing with the fallout.
I wonder if there's an episode about Speed on their podcast.
Ooh, that'd be something to look up.
Well, what was the
But-
name of that podcast again?
Oh, again, the name was Adrenaline Cinema Podcast, available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Nice.
Does somebody have Villain of the Week this week?
I believe Joe has our villain of the week this week.
Ooh.
Yes, I do, and it is unexpected.
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
So I found out about this week's villain of the week actually this morning while I was waiting to clock into work, but that's a different villain. So apparently what's happening is the Weather Channel is now producing a feed of their not news, but their weather coverage, and they're sending it to like not local, but like area and regional TV stations, which is now causing those stations to lay off their meteorologists. So people that have gone to school and studied this their entire college career and even past that, and this is their profession, this is what they do, it's what they're experts in, they're being replaced by just this big feed from the Weather Channel. And honestly, I gotta say, the Weather Channel being a villain was not in my story arc for this year.
Not
And
on
we're
the
even
3 weeks in.
close.
So
That is wild.
it's something that I never expected and something that I wouldn't think of because I'm not a huge corporation. But like, it makes sense when you look at it on paper. But man, that's evil.
Shitty.
And there's no
So
other way to go
shitty.
around it.
But I mean, that's kind of where our society's headed, is towards like, how can you employ less people and then the rest of us get fucked? Because how do
It's-
we make money if we're not employed? And
Yep.
we can't get universal health care, and we can't get a universal basic income because we keep voting against those things because we're fucking stupid, because nobody can see the writing on the wall.
Speaking of writing, they're starting with Weather Channel and they're starting with meteorologists. What's next? The local channels are going to go away. The independent reporting is going to go away. There's going to be a universal news channel.
You mean our large media conglomerates are going to control everything even more?
I mean, the more I think about it, the more this is the first domino in this whole thing, and I think that it's a sign of things to come, bad things to come.
I think we've had a domino start way long time ago, and this is just another domino.
Normally we would do game time at this point, but we're an hour and a half in, and most
I was
of
like-
this is actual content. Do we want to pick this up again next week and maybe do a two-parter?
Hesitant about two-part, because last time it kind of
Okay.
dragged on a little wonky, but
We don't have to do it, no.
I get where you're coming from. Maybe
it?
we could do this episode like a few more weeks down, so it's split up a little bit, but we can continue it.
Okay.
Well, Beardos, this episode's gone a little bit long because, I mean, we devoted an entire season to it, so of course we couldn't do this subject in one episode. So we're going to revisit this in a couple of weeks, and we'll do another part of this episode in discussion. So, having said that, we are going to skip through game time, but don't worry, this is not the last you'll see of MASH this season. This was fun. This was fun to get our claws into, so I think we're gonna do some more of this season.
And if you feel like you're missing out on a game, then just remember, our lives are a game.
To major corporations, you're right.
Yes.
Oof.
But I believe I do hear the music coming back on. It's Doichi's Alter Ego.
Oh, girl, it's been on repeat for a week.
He did the MASH. He did the monster MASH.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Anyways, go call our hotline real quick at 405-999-2242 and leave a voicemail to open next week's episode. And if you don't want to call that number, you can leave a voice memo through text or through email at beardsandsundries@gmail.com.
And Beardos, we have to go and reenact all of our own MASH stories. So it's time for us to go. If you'd like to help us out, go and subscribe to our podcast so you can get updates every Sunday when we release a new episode. We also post frequent updates on all of our social media sites for any sundries that we add to the market.
And don't forget to rate us 5 stars and leave a review. Those reviews are what get us found by more listeners like you. Also, if just each one of you could tell a friend about the podcast, that would double our growth, and we would be very appreciative of you, and maybe suck your dick if we ever see you.
That is a really interesting offer. You can
It's
also
a maybe. It's a maybe.
us-
I don't know. That's not guaranteed. We'll just see what happens.
We'll play it by ear. Bring me dinner. Go check out our socials, guys. We still have technically an Instagram, a Facebook, a TikTok. I don't know how long they'll be around at this rate. Also, Blue Sky is new for us, so go check that out. Follow us there. Help us gain our followers. Share us on all of those apps. I'm out of order because we've gained that new one and it's thrown me off. Facebook, Insta, TikTok. What's the other one? Threads. Which I'm also not checking right now. Sorry. You can email us at beardsandsundries@gmail.com. Send us messages so we can read them out, or your voice memos there, as Anthony said. Also, check out our website, beardsandsundries.com, where you can find the Buy Merch Here button and get this lovely shirt I'm wearing right now that says Soup Slut. It has been increasing in sales recently, so buy now.
Well, great advice, Jay. But from Jamie, Lee, and Curtis here at the... from Joe, Jay, and Anthony here at the Beards and Sundries Market. Make sure to...
love yourself.
Because we already love you. Because MASH said we had to. Bye, Beardo.
I'm sorry we had 142 kids. That was a lot of work. Love you.
We adopted a few of them, but only like 3.
This is his ass.